ask for votes when elections
Yeah,
come around
yeah.
is what you're saying. Yeah.
My question is
My
question is a little different.
Yeah.
Every party is wooing a caste, okay, a minority or a caste. My question is that every party is wooing a caste or a minority, but what agenda they are doing for their upliftment? Just like Mayawati, she's not doing so much for the SC's upliftment or minorities upliftment or for the OBG's upliftments. The question is, what is the agenda for their upliftment?
What is
That
the
is
agenda
enough
for
to
their upliftment?
move this.
Let me ask them, in fact, for closing comments. Sachin Pilot, of course, you've been, both you and the BJP are saying development is one of your main planks and bringing back the marginalized into mainstream.
Well, first of all, I think the BJP needs to understand that you can point fingers again, but let's not forget the events in Bangalore and what happened to Mr. Yediyurappa and the whole fiasco in Karnataka. So, I believe that the Uttar Pradesh campaign should be run on issues and on agendas that stand for the people. This wing of upper caste, lower caste, minority, majority, I think that is what has been the bane of the people of Uttar Pradesh. That is why the Congress in this campaign has clearly said that we want to work for a positive agenda. The kinds of legislation we passed in Delhi, whether it's right to work, right to information, now we're going to pass the right to food security. These are all fundamental changes brought about so that people have a better life. We don't discriminate. This is the only umbrella organization that has the capacity and the depth to carry all sections of society together, right from 100 years ago. And we stand by that principle. So this caste, religious divide is something that has been something of a curse to Uttar Pradesh, and we want to make sure to get rid of that. And the Congress, I think, is the most viable answer for people when they look in that direction.
China, will we ever reach a stage where we can get away from that, from arithmetic of polls in terms of castes, different religions or minorities?
Contrary to what Sachin's saying, I'd just like to elaborate on the stand of the BJP. The stand of the BJP is only development. In the state of UP, we have seen lack of infrastructure, lack of administration and lack of political will. The BJP offers to give just that, and I think our track record is far superior to the mess that the rest of the parties have made of the country. And I'm sure that public at large will give us a clear mandate. They have given it to us in the past in Bihar, and we have delivered. They've given it to us in Gujarat. We've delivered. In the smaller states, we've delivered, whether it's Chhattisgarh, whether it's Jharkhand, whether it's Uttaranchal, whether it's Madhya Pradesh, and the larger states too. I think that this will be the opportunity to show political will, to deliver to public, and not to make tall promises, but to only talk about the path of development.
But it is a curious blend of development and emotional appeal if you look for the Uttar polls. BJP starting from Varanasi, home to the Kashi temple dispute, and from Mathura, home to the Krishna temple dispute, ending in Ayodhya, home to the Ram temple dispute, despite development being their big agenda. Dilip Awasthi, closing comments from you. How do you see this panning out in terms of election results? Do you think that Mayawati will lose some ground but still manage to remain number one?
No, I don't really think so, because, you know, there actually has been pretty bad governance. We have had situations, which I don't think people outside UP would know, that we've had situations where we've had 10 to 15 hours of power cut, no water, bad law and order, local administration not attending to people's woes, and so on. You know, it has been a pretty bad governance of nearly 4.5 years, and Mayawati has absolutely.
All right, Dilip Awasthi, quick comments from you. Do you think that bad governance will affect Mayawati, that she could lose Uttar Pradesh and hence the division so that she could stay in power in 2 states?
Much would depend on the popular mood. I think that if there's a massive anti-incumbency wave, then there's no question that, you know, we will see the results and, you know, she will suffer from that. On the other hand, if there is an undercurrent of anti-incumbency which most governments face, I think she's ahead in the game. And maybe she will not get a clear majority, but she's certainly ahead in the game, unless there is, and it's a very divided opposition, remember. So I think she is a great beneficiary because the opposition is very badly divided.
Opposition very badly divided. Ajoy Boyce, Sachin Pilot, PL Punia, Shaina NC, Dilip Awasthi, and earlier recording with Syed Kazim Ali Khan, the BSP Rampur MLA. Thanks so much for joining us on Left, Right and Centre. Of course, a few months will let us know what really happens in Uttar Pradesh. Moving from politics, we'll of course get you all the day's other top stories, including some bad news for Yuvraj Singh. Government sources say they're taking a tough line with America on the nuclear liability issue, which is expected to come up when the Prime Minister meets President Obama in Bali tomorrow. There are allegations that the nuclear liability laws are soft on suppliers, while Americans may think that they are too tough.
As the Prime Minister arrived here in Bali for the ASEAN and East Asia Summit, back home a storm has already broken out over the nuclear liability rules that were notified last night. It's not just the opposition which is unhappy, but Washington too will not be too pleased. This has been one of the most contentious issues between the two countries over the last several months.
But Indian officials have taken a tough line regarding American objections, that Indian laws are too tough on suppliers, thereby scaring away US firms. Government sources say the rules may not address US concerns, but they have to be reasonable. You cannot say Indian law won't apply, it simply has to. Sources stress that India has to look at the reality of not just a post-Fukushima world, but the rights of its citizens as well. The new rules go some way in addressing American concerns, but the biggest sticking point remains: ordinary citizens can sue for any amount, even several years after an accident. But in what would please Washington to some extent, there's a cap of 1,500 crores and 5 years for damages the operator can claim from the supplier. This is what the opposition had objected to.
Yeah, I think the very fact that these rules have been brought about and announced on the eve of Prime Minister Manmohan Singh's meeting with President Obama at the ASEAN summit in Bali, a few hours from now, that itself makes it suspect that this is only to appease the Americans and the American corporates.
The issue is expected to figure prominently when Prime Minister Manmohan Singh meets President Obama here in Bali tomorrow morning. But India's stand is very clear. This is the best that India could do, keeping its own interests in mind. And now it's up to US firms to decide if they want to do business with India. With Sundeep Phukan in Delhi, in Bali, Nidhi Razdan for NDTV.